Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we are here for the second in a 274-part series, journeying poem by poem through, let me find my book, Sylvia Plath, The Collected Poems. So if you have this book, read along with us, and if you don't, well, why not? So, we are here for the second in that series, as well as what I believe is in the mid 230s for the poetry discussion playlist. This poem can be found in both of those playlists here on the channel. If you are familiar with neither of those playlists, make sure to familiarize yourself with both of them. That is your homework. We're here for the poem Winter Landscape with Rooks. And it reads as such. Water in the mill race through a sluice of stone plunges headlong into that black pond where, absurd and out of season, a single swan floats chaste as snow, taunting the clouded mind which hungers to haul the white reflection down. The austere sun descends above the fin, an orange cyclops eye scorning to look longer on this landscape of chagrin. Feathered dark in thought, I stalk like a rook, brooding as the winter night comes on. Last summer's reeds are all engraved in ice, as is your image in my eye. Dry frost glazes the window of my hurt. What solace can be struck from rock to make my heart's waste grow green again? Who'd walk in this bleak place? So we have, in the wake of that first poem, and look, I'm not going to make a big deal to talk a lot about biography because I don't think that it is absolutely necessary when finding the poem to know biography. I'm not going to make a big deal oftentimes of the other poems in the canon of Sylvia Plath. I think that it is important to talk about the piece you're talking about as the piece you're talking about. But I do think that if we're going to be going poem by poem through the longer, the complete works of Sylvia Plath, it is interesting to make some observations. We have here a couple words which, look, Sylvia Plath's diction might be second to none. Uh, Diction as well as word choice. There are no mistakes in Sylvia Plath's poetry. And what we have here are two words which are fairly rare in the English language, stalk as well as rook, appearing in both of the first two poems of this collection. I am not sure 100% how these poems were arranged. That is beyond my pay grade as far as Sylvia Plath is concerned, but regardless, whether these poems are in some type of set order, those words have now happened twice in two poems. This is, to me, like Emily Dickinson and her word, she loves bees. Emily Dickinson loves to write about bees, and there are several words not unique to Emily Dickinson, but several words that will pop up time and again. I dropped my pen with Emily Dickinson, and those are things when trying to understand, maybe not interpret, but to understand a poet, those things which occur and reoccur are oftentimes, they give you purchase. They give you purchase on the poem and let you wriggle it around a bit to see if you can shake anything loose. So keep an eye on those words, rook and stalk. Sylvia Plath seems to enjoy the word stalk, the verb stalk. So what do we have here? What are we looking at with this poem? Well, we have a strange winter landscape and the occurrence of Well, rooks, as the title suggests, but there's another bird in here as well, the swan. Now, one place that I want to start the discussion for this poem is with numerology. Numbers. This poem consists of 3 5-lined stanzas. 5, 5, 5. Now, in numerology, which maybe Sylvia Plath did not believe in, certainly, however, she would have known, 555 is a number which suggests change is happening whether you know it or not. In light of this, we have here another poem which, like Conversation Among the Ruins, seems to be presenting us with a landscape of this is more order than the ruins, but there is definitely a sense of strangeness here. Where is it? The out of season swan. Now, does this plunging headlong into that black pond, does that sound particularly pleasurable? Plunging headlong into a black pond? A pond of mystery? No, I don't think it does. I think that what we are getting here, the austere sun, orange cyclops eye, look longer on this landscape of chagrin, feathered dark in thought. We have here many sort of not references, that's not fair, but many similarities with Conversation Among the Ruins. And I think it's very tempting to look at this poem, and you have 2 birds mentioned. You have the swan. You also have the rook. A rook is a bird, not just a chess piece, but the rook. So the rook in question is a bird, feathered dark. So here's what we're going to do. Swan is going to be highlighted in a different color because we are so cool. So we have the rook and the swan. I'm going to read Conversation Among the Ruins real quickly, just because we have this poem as reference. Through portico of my elegant house you stalk, with your wild furies disturbing garlands of fruit and the fabulous lutes and peacocks rending the net of all decorum which holds the whirlwind back. That bit sounds quite a bit like a pond to me. A natural, so decorum which holds the whirlwind back. You have the sluice, you have the mill race, water in the mill race through a sluice of stone, and the water rushing into a pond. The pond holds the, if you will, whirlwind back. Now rich order of walls is fallen, rooks croak, above the appalling ruin in bleak light of your stormy eye. Cyclops' eye, scorning to look longer. Magic takes flight. Magic, absurd, out of season, almost magical. Pardon me for saying I hate that when I'm watching videos, but here I am doing it. Of your stormy eye, magic takes flight like a daunted witch quitting castle when real days break. Fractured pillars frame prospects of rock, while you stand heroic in coat and tie. I sit composed in Grecian tunic and Psyche not, rooted to your black look. That play turned tragic with a blight wrought on our bankrupt estate. What ceremony of words can patch the havoc. So that was the first video in this series, but it reads a lot like that with the different goings on, and I think it's very tempting when reading a poem that seems to have a masculine and a feminine side to it, to imagine the swan as the woman and the rook as the man. The swan. So, okay, this is a rook right here. Do you see that distinguished, scary looking prick? That is a rook. This is a rook. This is a swan. So I stole some stuff from the internet. Worldbirds.com. What is a swan? What do swans symbolize? White swan symbolism is related to light, grace, beauty, love, and purity, whereas black swan is found in occult symbolism. The swan is an emblem of feminine beauty and softness and has even had operas and ballets written about it. One thing that worldbirds.com does not mention is that swans are often used to represent chastity. And I believe that's because swans mate for life. That is another interesting thing to bring into this discussion. I think it's tempting to imagine the swan as the feminine side. I think it's especially tempting to imagine the swan as the feminine side when we have in this previous poem rooted to your black look. So we have the masculine described as a black look. But in this poem, I stalk like a rook, brooding as the winter night comes on. So it's possible that, that's the same. But what we're doing in Winter Landscape with Rooks is we are telling the poem from the opposite side. Is this Winter Landscape with Rooks the same poem as Conversation Among the Ruins, but from the masculine side? Or, so here's what a rook is. Oh, in this guide, we will discuss. I didn't mean to take that part. Doesn't matter. Spiritanimals.and Symbolism.com, which is, if you didn't know, as official a source as you will find. And all of your English professors that you ever have respected would definitely cower before Spiritanimals.and Symbolism.com. A rook bird symbolism is steeped in history, mythology, and legend. This powerful bird has long been associated with wisdom, change, and transformation. 555. Rooks are a member of the crow family, Corvidae, and are considered very intelligent birds. They have many interesting symbolic meanings that can be applied to your life. Rook represented wisdom, change, and adaptability in Celtic mythology. In Greek mythology, rooks were said to be the messengers of Zeus. Zeus and swans, anyone? If they are also associated with the military and warfare. If a rook is your totem, you may be called to lead or teach others in difficult times. You are a symbol of strength and resilience, able to face any challenge head on. Read on for more information. From spiritanimals.and Symbolism.com, the utmost of authority. Now, what are we doing here with those birds? We have the rook mentioned in two separate poems. The rook seems to be important to our speaker. Rooks, very intelligent, very mysterious. You look at them and they look at you, and you know they're thinking something, and they know you're thinking something, but you don't know what they're thinking, and they don't know what you're thinking, but you're both thinking, and you know the other is too, right? That is what you get with a rook. So is it possible that this poem is a retelling of conversation among the ruins from the opposite perspective? Is it possible that the rook is the speaker, the swan is the masculine, the as we saw in conversation among the ruins, where is it here? While you stand heroic in coat and tie, seems to be sort of, hey, what a handsome bastard. Seems to be very pretty like swans. I think our speaker here would more readily identify with the rook. Is that fair to say? I think that our speaker here would more readily identify with change, whereas the swan in question probably does not. Remember, swans made for life. That is consistency. Chastity is consistency. So we have these things happening in this poem, all of this movement, all of this numerology circling around. I think that it is our speaker which would more readily identify with the rook. But why? It's possible, I think, that the entire thing, the whole shebang here. Now, here, let's read it one more time. I think that so when we read it this time, let's look for, let's look for reasons to believe that this poem is about two people. Water in the mill race through a sluice of stone plunges headlong into that black pond where, absurd and out of season, a single swan floats chased as snow, taunting the clouded mind which hungers to haul the white reflection down. The austere sun descends above the fin, an orange cyclops eye scorning to look longer on this landscape of chagrin. Feathered dark in thought, I stalk like a rook, brooding as the winter night comes on. Last summer's reeds are all engraved in ice, as is your image in my eye. Dry frost glazes in the window of my hurt. What solace can be struck from rock to make this heart's waste grow green again? Who'd walk in this bleak place? We have a single mention of your. Well, oh, I like that. Oh, I got too many. It doesn't matter. Your is mentioned, but it is not necessarily represented. It might be that this poem is an internal struggle from our speaker. Our speaker, therefore, represented by both the rook and the swan, as our speaker is split on this relationship. Our speaker wants that chastity. Our speaker wants to maintain that chastity. Our speaker wants to mate for life. But our speaker is also exacting. Our speaker is also intelligent. Our speaker is also someone who will fend for themselves, like the rook. In that case, it is the orange cyclops eye. I'm on a roll now. Look at this. The orange cyclops eye, that austere sun which descends, that would be the you in question. The austere sun, the orange cyclops eye, providing the antagonist to our speaker. I kind of like that. That's all I have for this poetry discussion. Winter Landscape with Rooks. If you enjoy what I do here, hitting the like button tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers, and I Would greatly appreciate that. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button. Stick around for more, as I talk about poetry every Monday, but I also talk about short stories and do novel read-alongs, as well as a little bit of writing stuff here on this channel. So if you do find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button. Stick around for more, and I hope to have you back for the next one.